In the year 1496, something really important happened within the parish of Draycott. It's recorded that the Lord of the Manor let his old house down and builded in another place of Draycott parish a goodly house called Paynsley. So that was when Paynsley Hall was built. Paynsley Hall was an enormous place. It had over 20 hearths, according to the hearth tax in the 1600s, and according to a description seen by Walter Draycott in 1911, he saw an oil painting of it. He describes it: the facade of the hall had a southern aspect, showing two tall towers resembling keeps, and a high wide doorway between two towers with a Gothic archway or entrance. The moderately large windows were built in the Tudor style. Now, Paynsley Hall is gone, but it used to stand over there, where that farm is. And actually there was a chimney that was left until recently of the original hall, and that was knocked down within the last 20 years. So that is where Paynsley Hall was. The question is though, where was the old house that he let down before building at Paynsley? Where was the original manor house? And there are two theories as to where that could be. So let's have a look. So, where was the old house that the Draycotts let down to rebuild at Paynsley? Well, one of the contenders, the one that I talk about in my book, is this place here. This is called Blithewood Moat, and it's actually a few metres outside of the southeast boundary of the parish. And it's quite a remarkable site. It's what you call the Homestead Moat, which means it's a moated site on which there would have been a house of an important person in the middle. But Blithewood Moat's more important than most, because there is where the homestead would have been, and then there was a moat around it, so it's square, and then there's this area, and then there's a second moat beyond. So it's a double moated site. They're very, very rare. There's lots of homestead moats about, but not many with double moats. And if that wasn't enough, on that side there, which is the eastern side, there is an extra moat. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think it served a defensive purpose. So you've got double moats around the square, and then you've got a third moat on that side. It's a really remarkable site. It must have been built by somebody important, somebody with a lot of money and influence. Could this have been the precursor to Paynsley Hall? I'm standing on the central island of Blithewood Moat now, and if you have a look in my book, there was a picture we got an artist, Rob Poynton, to do of what this may have looked like in early medieval times. And this is the spot where that picture was drawn from, where he imagined it. So compare the picture with what you've got now. The only recorded excavations done on Blithewood Moat were in 1846, and I think it's in this part here. We're still on the central island, and they found medieval chain armour and also medieval shoes in this place, so we know that there was something going on here in medieval days. There are no traces of any buildings left, but once when I was here, I was speaking to a local resident. They live in a house just over there, and they said that when they were rebuilding their house, there were stones used in the basement. And so what we think is that the buildings that were here, the stone buildings that were here, were demolished by local people afterwards, and they used the stones to build farmhouses. So, if the first theory as to where the old house that they let down was Blithewood Moat, what's the second? Well, this was one that was put to me a few years ago by a local historian in Leveson Wood, and he suggested this place. Now, this, as most people know, was the rectory for St Margaret's Church, just up the road, and it's got a long and very interesting history. But what Lev suggests is that before it was the rectory, it was actually the place of the manor. Normally the manor houses were very near the church, near the settlement, as this was. It's got a water supply next to it, and there is evidence of earthworks around it, so perhaps it was a homestead moat like Blithewood Moat. So this is the alternative explanation as to where the original manor house was, and personally, Lev, I think you're right. I think this is the correct location.